Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Chantel and I haven't done a Whispers of Wisdom in a hot minute. So, if you are new to Whispers of Wisdom, it is where we come on, we jam about what's alive in us, what is currently going on in our worlds, what's inspiring us, what actions we're taking, what we're offering, all of the things. And so, it's been a minute for us to be here together today. Chantel and I wanted to get on to reconnect because we're both been in our sweet spots with retreats, and we wanted to share some of that magic with you. So thanks, Chantel, for joining with me.
It has been a minute, but we have been so busy building in our in-person businesses and our lives and everything. We have so many things that have changed over the last couple of months that I think it just feels really natural and organic for us to come on and be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? What have you been doing? And yet we still come weekly and work with each other and we're building Moon Rising and everything. So there's just been a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I literally didn't even know you had a retreat going on until I saw someone posted a reel about it yesterday, a TikTok, and I was like, oh, cool. That looks amazing. And I literally just posted about my retreat that I did about 2 weeks ago. Maybe it's 3 weeks now. I just posted that a few days ago. So we are just now catching up, I feel like, with all of the fun, fantastic things that were going on this summer. So
Yeah.
how do you want to start? Do you want to tell us a little bit about, like, right before we got on, I had to go, shush, 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 don't say it yet, because she was starting to spout her wisdom. And I'm like, wait, we need to go live. So,
Don't share it all right now. You need to wait.
and you were saying
Um,
about women's work and how women coming together is so magical. And I'm like, tell me more in a minute.
you know what? It really is. The more I sit in ceremony and circle with women, I recognize this is such a lost art that we need, and men need it as well. But for women, I know it's a way for us really to come back into our feminine and come back into like just being natural to nurture ourselves and nurture each other. And I know that it's something that forever women have done. And I don't know why with our new age and our, society norms and everything, women don't. And so when we come together and there is a gathering and a circle and we are in these conversations and we're doing cacao and just all the magic and medicine we bring forward in every ceremony that we do, women open up and they come in with a grief, with a something that's heavy, and they leave so light and ready to go like embark on life and take on their family and show up more empowered. And it's just like I don't even know, like even new moon this last week, we our women's it was all women and it turned into a beautiful conversation of what we're going through. And women went home and they're like, they're inviting their husband back into their bed and they're engaging with their children in a different way, and they're all this stuff was happening, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I think it's because we just need permission, give ourselves permission to show up.
Mhm.
And there's just so much fear, I think, in a lot of women to not show up. We're wearing too many masks and we're hiding ourselves. And then when we give ourselves that permission, we can show up in ways that are never seen. And so I'm really seeing this in my community right now.
Right. And it's the showing up in exactly who we are,
Exactly.
right? It's like, who is the essence of who you are? Where is your
Mhm.
core essence, your core truth, your core wisdom, your core personality, right? How does that
Yeah.
want to show up? And I think you're right. There's a bit of masking or taking on the archetypes or roles that we're accustomed to. And when we get to drop that and just be exactly who we are in the moment, then we can return in the more fullness of that essence and vibration into our normal everyday life.
Yeah, because I believe that women, we have walked very masculine journeys for such a long time. And there is this call back to home, call back to self and being authentic. And I don't feel that it shows up in necessarily like a family reunion or a family gathering. It really is with like-minded women that can sit together and say that, yeah, me too. I've gone through that too. I experienced that too. And through those conversations and coming back to self and doing techniques like soul gazing and looking yourself in the mirror and not judging yourself and seeing beyond the physical, seeing through the eyes and the scope of your soul and being able to take on a sound bath, as you know, like it's just such a beautiful experience. And yet it's not done enough.
Yeah.
I guess that's where it is. It's just not done enough.
Well, it's interesting. What comes to mind when I hear this is I was raised with my mom going to a women's circle monthly. And it was a group of probably 15, 16 women, and they met every single month. And they called themselves the brides. And so they started going to this group and naming themselves the brides when they kind of stopped having bridal showers. Everyone was married, everyone was having their first set of kids, and the baby showers were done. And but they still wanted to honor each woman every month and treat her like a bride. And they would gift her presents that month. And so they would rotate through. And so you get to go once every 2 years, essentially, or once every year and a half, and then you're like getting gifts again, and we're celebrating that one person. And it's like I loved that I grew up in a culture of seeing that my mom would go. She would go and prioritize her women's circles and honoring one another. And so they might not have been doing cacao, they might not have been doing mirror work, they might not have been doing the shadowy things, but they were coming together to share about where they were in life and to celebrate one another. And that was a really good, beautiful foundation to normalize it, right?
I love that.
Right?
See, and that's something that needs to come back into society. Is just that, is
Just
the
that.
gathering of women, where it's like in a natural, organic way of being able to honor each other.
They
And it's
did it.
not because we're going to go get drunk or go and
Right.
party. It's because you're just sitting and holding space for each other
Yeah.
and celebrating.
Right. So they met, like, I would say, for 30 years every month. And then as they moved into retirement, they kind of dispersed to where grandbabies were or whatever it was. And now they get together once a year for a weekend retreat for themselves. And they buy a big house at the, or not buy, but rent a big house on the beach and have intense time for a whole weekend. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what women should be doing. And the counterpart, I think men should be doing that too. Like, I think if
Yeah.
men gathered in a way that fulfills them. I think this is the hunting trips, right? This is the fishing expeditions. This is the breaking out of normal day life. I feel like they do that often. And where is the sacred containers for both of these? Right? Where
Yeah,
is
that's funny. At the end of the night, my husband goes, "When's my retreat? Where's the men's retreat?" And I'm like, "Put one on, put one on, gather it." And he was already planning it like you're talking. I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
well, it's interesting here in Bozeman, Montana. I think we have more men's groups and retreats than women's groups retreats. And so it's very interesting to see what's happening in our culture. Like we have some co-gendered things happening. We have a couple, two or three different men that are leading retreats, and it's like they're doing 3 days kayaking or canoeing down the river as their retreat.
Wow.
They're going out into the woods, and I'm in Montana, nature is everywhere, right? And then you have these women's retreats, and so we have women's groups coming together every once in a while. And then we have a really big festival here called Celebrating Women every September that pulls in women from all over the state. And it's about 75 people, so it's a much bigger one. And so it's very interesting. Like, but where's our core group? And I think we're 2 nights ago, Friday night, I went dancing, and it was this sober event. And that's always what I'm looking for. I'm like, where's my sober events? And it was super cool because they had these cold plunge pools and saunas. And then inside we had a huge dance party. And I was one of the first to arrive with my partner. And it was like everyone coming in, I would say I knew 80% of the people that were there. Like, it was like, I'm just gonna dance with all of my girlfriends and my good guy friends, and like, this is great. And we get to like dance really hard to this music, and it felt amazing. And it's like, okay, can we take this group of people and bring it to the next level for a retreat? Right. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
I want a yes, somatic movement. Great. Love that. And how can we bring it deeper? So I feel like this is what you're doing in your community with your women's groups. This is what I continuously am trying to cultivate and do in my community. So I'd love just to like chat, like, how was your retreat? How was my retreat? Like what really felt I don't know, deepening, what really felt like it was getting to the heart and soul of people.
You know what I would have to say is just it's wrapping it up in the end. It's like each one of us. So on this summer one, there's four of us women, and we each come and we do something. We're offering our own class or workshop or whatever we're doing, right? And but it's our own ceremonies. And so each one of them is layered and it's giving this different insight, but we plan it in a way that is like we're just in total flow. So it was like it was so hot when they first got here. I'm like, just go swim. Like we had a whole thing we were gonna get really started. I'm like, nope, go swim. And so they did that and everyone started chatting and get to know each other because they're all strangers to each other too, which is really interesting because it's not like everybody knows everyone. We just are posting it out there. And then I just have people that are just registering. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had like three people where I had to actually locate who they were because I'm like, I have no contact. I can't send you my address. I can't do anything without it. So, I just think that women are hungry for it. And when they come and then you start getting them into it, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. They start cracking open, the tears start coming, the ahas, the knowings, it all just starts revealing itself. And to be the space holder for us, it's like just so amazing because who would have thought that, like for me, in a moment in a day in my life, that I would be leading a group of women? Because in my groups, it's always kind of like catty women, so I've always been like a guy's girl, I've always had like the guys group that I would hang out with because a lot of women were wounded women and so they weren't always that fun. And I in some way was probably that way too, but through my own understanding and healing and what does it mean to be feminine and coming forward and being a receiver of truth and a receiver of wisdom and knowledge in my own self? It's a completely different version that we like, yeah, removing those masks and saying, I'm ready to see me.
Mhm,
And that's, I think, the juicy part is when women are ready to just see themselves,
mhm.
not everybody else, not all the things, but just who they are, their natural self.
Okay, love it. And I totally want to know like root chakra level, like give me the itinerary. Give me the data. Like how many women did you have? You did it in your house. How the fuck did you pull that off? You've got your daughter and grandkids living with you. Like I want to know, I want to fill me in on the details. Like how did that work?
So there was a total of 20 of us. And then it literally like come together, the four of us, and actually on this one it was two of us that came together and we planned the whole agenda and we're gonna do this and this and this. Then we put it out to the four of us. Everyone's like, yep, got that. My family's on the inside, they're doing their thing. But you know what? I'm raising my granddaughters in this energy. And so they're coming out and being a part of it too. And so it's really interesting to watch them and they'll sit with us and they're learning how to be in ceremony as well. So even it's like a couple of the women, they're bringing their teenage daughters too, because they're training them to do this work and to be authentic to who they are. And so there was no like separation. It's very much all inclusive. And then actually my husband had his friends over and so he's hanging out in the garage or listening to music. And I thought that was pretty cool because even some of the women at the end, they're like, dude, you're like fully supported by your husband. Like he's just hanging out with his own friends doing his thing. And we're out here and I'm like, yeah, like exactly. It's how it should be, right? Where we can all co-collaborate, but not, we don't have to all be together, but we're each getting what we need. And so we worked with the four elements. That was kind of our thing. And so when they first got there, one of the hosts was out there and they were grounding. They were walking on the grass and on the earth and doing that. When they came into my courtyard, I was fire. So I was smudging everyone. Then they went around my side yard and then another one she was doing water blessings, and then there was air. So by the time they got in, they were already cleansed and cleared and grounded, and so then they're just ready. They're ready to strip it all down and go be and do and be women.
I love it.
So, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, go swim, go interact, and go meet each other. And we already had refreshments and all that going on. And after a while, then we called everyone over and we started our ceremony. But it was like, yeah, turn doing the talking stick, and we did this whole burning thing where we had shells and burning some herbs, and then as they're speaking they're cleansing themselves and they're saying like what their intention is and who they are, giving a little bit of background story. And then we drank cacao, we gave a nice beautiful sound bath while they were integrating all of that. And there was just so much. There's journaling, and then there's the mirror, and then there's let's talk, and there's just, yeah, there's so much. I did a pendulum, taught them how to use that. They were just so fascinated with that. We did oils, DIYs. So it's very packed.
Yeah, it
It's a
sounds
very
like it.
packed day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's both, it feels like it was both passive and active, right? There were some parts where it's
Yes.
like I get a witness and I get an honor and I just get to see. And then there's other parts where you're up and you're moving and you're co-creating your oil blends, for example. Like there's activity and there's quietness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important. One, when you're leading a retreat, you have to have a balance because you
Mhm.
can't just be sitting in ceremony the whole time, because people they need to get up and move. Um, and they want to be able to share and talk and socialize. But at the same time, we also need to like learn how to hold space for each other. And I think that's what ceremony is teaching women to do again, or, just people in general. How do you hold space for each other? And so it's reminding them, even like when somebody's sharing, we're not chit-chatting over in the side, because women get really gossipy, or not gossipy, but chit-chatty. And so, it's having those subtle reminders that we are holding space and we're listening and we're witnessing right now. And there will be that time where it's your turn and you get to share everything you need to share. And so it's really being having a strong container that women know they can show up in.
Yeah.
And they know that they can be present for someone else.
Right.
And it doesn't take away from them.
There was a new term I learned during the retreat that I just gave. My co-facilitator had an agreement of no tissues. And that means that if someone isn't sharing, if they're in process and they're crying, your job is not to go shove tissues in their face and like try to get them to calm down. Like it's actually
Mhm.
till they ask for the tissues, you're just there to witness, you're just there to honor whatever is happening, and that we're not here to rescue and save them from their emotions. And so I love that idea. It's like, yeah, that we have rules against, well, not rules, agreements that we won't crosstalk. We aren't going to interrupt. We're not going to take over the conversation. But we're also going to let them be in their emotion. I think this is that training of how do we hold sacred space with one another, of going, we've been conditioned to tend to the children, tend to the emotions, tend to. And it's like, what if we allowed? How can we just allow someone to be fully in their emotions? And if that is angry crying or giddy laughter, like, can we honor whatever is showing up in their story? And really seeing them for who they are. There's a reason why we mask, because if a tissue box is being thrown at us, you're telling me you can't handle this. You can't handle my
Mm.
story, right?
I love that. And then what, you just let them know that there's no, like, you give them that instruction, right? And
Mhm.
the tissues are there for the women to go and take the tissue if they need it.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
like,
love that.
well,
I
and
need to do that for my grief group.
exactly. Well, and I think this is one of those things that's like, okay, the tissues are available. Here's the agreements in the beginning. We're going to honor, we're going to witness, we are not going to give help unless it's asked for. Right? So
Mhm.
it's about learning how to self-advocate. I need a tissue. I need a hug. I need all the sisters to come around me and hold me for 5 minutes. Like, if you just assume what the person needs, you might be very mistaken about what they need. in that moment, right? Maybe what
Yeah.
they do need is to fall apart. Maybe they do need to be a puddle of tears. And how can we allow that in these sacred spaces? So it's like the tissue rule is really a reminder of they can ask for it, they can reach for it themselves, or they can ask for it. So it's always like, if you need support, please raise your hand, and a facilitator will come to you, versus
Yes.
everyone assuming that that we need to take care of one another. Because then you have participants that are jumping in to take care when their job is to be a participant.
Yeah, even if it's a subtle like hand on the shoulder kind
Shoulder.
of thing. Well, and I think what it is because especially in our communities, we're empaths. A lot of people are,
Yes.
we're all empaths, we're all feeling it. So we're like, oh, we just want to stop the pain. And then what ends up happening is there can be that transference. So maybe I'm not feeling any kind of emotion, but then I support you in yours, and now my emotion is all activated because I just took on your energy. And so it really is important to like kind of stay in your own bubble. And that I think that is with the opening of the circle too, is we are in one bubble, but we are in one, like we have our own individual, but we're in one full bubble, right?
Yeah.
And that way that people do know you do not need to go and rescue anyone.
Yeah.
We're rescuing ourselves today, and we're witnessing others be strong in their own rescuing.
Right. So then women get to
Yeah.
really take off their mask fully, right?
Yes.
If they're like, oh, no one's going to be upset if I take this off. No one's going to,
Yeah.
right? Like, if everyone is in their own energy container, we're more able to do this. We have this understanding that confidentiality is a thing, that self-responsibility is a thing, that we have these group energetic agreements. This is a thing. And so when we can go in and have these, they kind of feel like ground rules, then it's like, okay, now we're in the sacred container. Now we can take off the mask. We can allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel. We can move the way we need to move. We can talk the way we need to talk. We can, and I love that we have these exercises. We have these ceremonial rituals or pieces that are going to activate within us. And then you have this time for integration. And there's
Mhm.
this space, right? It's where you take a breath. It's a nervous system check-in. It's a, let's talk about what just happened, what came up for you. And I think those are the places where the true learnings happen, right? Like, I love the rituals, I love the practices, I love all these things. And it's a space in between that I really find incredibly important.
Integration is so important. It is. It is like the closing of that ceremony, but it is allowing everything to come within you and just to sit with it just
Mhm.
for a moment, even if you're just sitting and you're just thinking and feeling into everything that you went through for the however many hours you've been doing it, days or whatever it is. Integration is not to be rushed. And I think there's a lot of retreats or even just coming together, ceremony, whatever it is, that there's not enough integration sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Reiki and like when we do energy healing, that's the thing. Whether you're in a session, a one-on-one session or a group session or whatever, when you leave, you should feel like there was an integration period, a time to sit and process and feel into it. Not like, okay, I'm leaving and I have all these emotions and what do I do with them now? No, it's all about processing those thoughts and those emotions within that container. So when you leave, you do feel lighter. So when the questions and all the thoughts are coming up for the next few days, the next few weeks, you know how to process them. You're not feeling like you were abandoned and orphaned after you went to a retreat. So integration is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what, like, the way we set up our retreat, that the one I just did in Austin, it was a women's retreat as well. We did it over Friday night, Saturday night. So it was 3 days. It was Friday evening through Sunday around 1 p.m. And part of it was, I don't want practices back to back. I want space in between. I want breaks. I want time for people to do their journaling. I want time for people to check in, and making it part of the culture, right? And so it was really lovely to like be able to come in every morning and to reestablish the sacred space, calling in the directions again, reestablishing that energetic bubble container. going into a discussion of what a practice is going to be, doing a really deep dive practice, and then having the integration time. We did one of my favorite practices is called it's an emotional release ritual. And it is where you very much activate the stored up emotions in your body and you release them. So there is a lot of screaming, there is a lot of pounding, there is a lot of tantrums, there is a lot of, it's very loud. And it really allows everyone in this and the women in the space to take everything that they've pushed down and stored and stagnated in their body and give an exit strategy for it. And so that
Mm,
process can be really intense. And then what we have people do, like that process can be, it's a full body workout. Like people can lose their voice. It's like you need to really make sure you're taking care of yourself too. And you are fully energetically dumping, right? And so here I am, all these women are doing the process, and I'm giving Reiki to the space and constantly grounding their releases constantly, right? And then when the practice is done, I have everyone lie down and I turn on some integration music. And I have this really beautiful music called Liquid Gold, and it's a channeled frequency. It's very different. It makes your brain go somewhere else. It really lets things process and integrate. And as people are all lying down, then I come around and I gave everyone Reiki. And that part was incredible because they were so clear. They had opened this conduit of like big release. Then it was like, okay, I'm going to move around to everyone in the room and give them their Reiki dose. And you could just feel their energy, their bodies would twitch, their heads would roll back, their eyelids would flutter. All of these things were happening. People knew exactly when I was working on them, right? I wasn't touching anyone, but I was working above them and
yeah.
really grounding out the room, really blessing the room. Like that was a lot of big work, right? And so it's one of the highlights of the retreat that I gave was to give this really long, I think it was like an hour long integration rest time after that big practice. And then coming back together and going, what did you notice? What worked for you? And it was a very equal portion of people discussing what happened in the emotional release process and what people experienced in the integration process.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a really beautiful balance. Because you can't just be like, ah, and then expect everyone just to be like, okay. I
Right.
mean, you really do. It's like, and that's a lot of work for the body to do.
It
Because
is.
sometimes doing this, it feels like the next day you wake up like you went to the gym and worked your ass off. And
Absolutely.
and you didn't. You just sat in ceremony, but our bodies hold so much in our emotions and our tension that when we release it, it is a full release and it does feel like we've worked out.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
legs are tired, all of it. It's so interesting. You're like, what did I do? And it's like, oh, I released. That's what I did.
Yeah. And in this
I let
practice,
all
it's
that energy go.
yeah, in this practice, it's very somatic. You are moving, you are screaming,
Yes.
you are punching pillows, you're doing all of the things. And it was really interesting. We had a gal who missed that portion, and it was very interesting to notice her energy and the way she taught versus the rest of the group because everyone
Mm,
else had just released and released and released and released. And she didn't have that opportunity to release. So you could watch her the rest of the weekend still releasing through her stories. And everyone else had already processed, like already moved
yeah.
through it. So it was very interesting to have some of these learning lessons. Like this was a very, we put this together in fairly short notice. It was really meant for Austin people, with the idea that people could go home, sleep in their own beds, and come back if necessary. And just noticing what that meant for the group, people who would leave early or show up late and really needed that agreement, like just like you need an agreement on confidentiality, agreement of no tissues, right? Like we needed agreement of presence,
Yeah.
right? Like if
Yeah.
you're going to be here for all of it, because you
Mhm.
could see where things weren't lining up for people. I had another person who missed the beginning Friday ceremony on sacred communication, right? She was the one who really struggled in communicating, right? It
Because
was,
she didn't have that. Yes.
yeah, right? So it
Yeah.
was just really interesting to watch going, as a facilitator, I'm still learning. And I think we all do, going, how would I shift? How would I do this different? And I think everyone who attended thought it was amazing, would totally be interested in more, all of these things. And as a facilitator, I'm always like, how do I tweak it to make it better?
Well, I think, and that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, is that retreat has layers,
Hmm.
and as a facilitator, we are creating a very intentional space together. And it is layered on top of it. There's a reason why the communication comes in first. There's a reason why the agreements are talked about and discussed and how the container is held. And, there's reasons why every single piece is integrated and put in place the way it is so that it is in flow, but also so that the people are not missing certain pieces
Right.
and they understand what it means to do that. Because not everyone knows how to sit in circle. Not everyone knows that it is a time of being silent and listening and being the witness in that moment. And then there's other times where you get to be loud and you get to, interact and do things, or maybe it's like not this one, but last one, I had them pair up and we did a couple, pairings where we got into each other's space and we like cradled each other and we just stared in each other's eyes and it was so powerful. And then you switch to another, partner. So there's like these very intimate exchanges, and then you can get up and go move around, and now we're totally changing in a different way. And so it is, if there's layers and intention with it, and if it doesn't feel like that, then that's something, feedback for your facilitator, just for our listeners. If you go to a retreat and it doesn't feel intentional, that might be some feedback to give them, but it also depends on what the agenda is, like what is the focus, right? So you can have like very kind of chaotic flow by your, just kind of do it as you're doing it. But really it's having an agenda that you might not know as a participant, but you should feel like there is a natural flow with your facilitators for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's like, and I've seen the other extreme where it's not too loose, it's too structured, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, now we have 5 minutes to get to the next practice. There's no integration time and we're on to the next thing. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And I'm like, that's not feminine enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be some kind of buffer zone and change. I know that where there's a schedule,
Mhm.
but you got to be able to tweak it a little bit.
And really read the energy of the group, right?
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what I can say for sure. I'm really good at reading the energy of the group, especially
Mhm.
if it's a fairly small group. Once we're over like 20 people, I have a hard time reading the whole entirety, like feeling all of it. But usually in the small group, it's like, all right, this was the practice I planned. This is not the energy of the group. I'm going to whisper to my co-facilitator. Hey, I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to do this other practice instead. Still going to be chakra based, but it's going to be something else. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Because it's like knowing what has happened, knowing the what has happened with this group for the day, for 2 days, and going, I'm going to bring in this other component. We're going to switch things up a little bit and trust that if the facilitator is doing it, they got it. And there's also this piece of how much transparency do you need with participants of what the schedule is, of what, like I'm very I really want people to know what the at least the title is of every practice. Where I might not give them all of the details. I don't want to ruin the surprise of it, and I want them to know where things might feel edgy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't
Well,
also.
because you're taking away the expectation too.
Mhm.
Because if they are already predicting what will be done and then you don't do it, or you don't do it in the way they
Think it
expect it to
is.
be, it could be a disappointment
Mhm.
when there should be able to be room for that flow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of like if they have trauma, they need to have the trans enough transparency so that they can energetically feel into their yeses and nos, right? And so it's
Mm.
like so it's always this balance of like how much, what is too much, what is not enough. And really like I doing it fuller retreat weekends, it's like I love to do interview processes with people before they come. So I get a heads up, hey, what kind of traumas do you have? What should I be aware of? So that if I think there's something on the schedule that might be um, not necessarily problematic, but something that you should be aware of in advance, I can give more full explanation of, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the capacity of it. This is where your choices are so that they can really feel like, yeah, I want to do that. Or I want to sit in the corner and just be a silent observer, or I will need to be out of the room. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, it's a different take on it, but it is important to know where everybody's boundaries are.
Mhm.
Um, I know I tend to be more like I'm inviting them and pulling them in through and past their boundaries sometimes, but sometimes it's because we need that stretch and challenge,
Yeah.
but not to the point of where it's created a trauma or a trigger or it's activated something in them,
Right.
but
A
just
re-traumatization.
enough to say it's okay to say yes here, or
Right.
we are in a safe space to say yes here. And so I think a lot of times when women feel that, they do engage.
Mhm.
Otherwise some wallflowers they want to just be quiet. They just want to be the observer. But when you pull them in a little bit in that soft way, then they feel like, okay, I can do this. I
Right.
can do just enough. And that opens them up for even more.
Right, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's where having knowing your participants really helps. Going, are you just a wallflower who's shy, doesn't necessarily have any trauma, and you just need to be pulled forward versus
Hmm.
the person who's like a lot of what I'm doing is more on the somatic where your body might be releasing sexual trauma or something else. And so I'm very aware of like, okay, we're doing this, maybe it's a self massage practice, for example. How comfortable are you in the room giving your feet a massage, giving your belly a massage, giving your arms a massage? Would you be feel comfortable if someone took their top off? Would that make you like all of those things, like understanding boundaries and understanding the where there are growth edges of going, recognizing where is the fear, and is this fear coming from something that came from your past that was traumatic, or is it a cultural conditioning that you need to break through? Is it something that is a desire that you want to work through and work on those growth edges? Or is there something like someone touches me in a certain way, it's going to re-traumatize me, right?
Yeah.
Like
I
all of
love I like the energy or the energy behind the interview process for
Mhm.
sure. And also bringing up cultural conditionings, religious conditionings.
Yeah.
That was a We saw that a lot on this retreat. Was a lot of women coming from cultural backgrounds or even religious backgrounds where they're trying to open up to it, but they don't quite know where they stand. We did have one that she comes from a very strong religious background, but she's opening up. And she was just like, there was a few things that I can't really, grasp because she's afraid that she's like going against God or going against Jesus or whatever she was feeling. And having an open conversation with her to explain where we're coming from and how they're all a part of it. And I was even trying to be fun with her and be like, imagine, like Jesus and Buddha and Krishna, all of them, they're all friends hanging out, kind of thing. And then they're all coming and helping us and assisting us here. And so she was like, do you think it's like that? And I go, well, energetically, yeah, I do. Do I see them in physical form all hanging out? Not necessarily, but energetically and consciously, I see that. And so then she was just like, well, asking all these questions about how she can bridge from where she's opening up to where she was raised and how she was raised. And it was, I think in the end, there was enough seeds planted for her to get curious with it, but she definitely was still like, I got to hold on to this. And I said, well, you hold on to it as long as you need to. right? And if it's in your lifetime to open and release some of that, you will. And if not, that is okay too. You're doing your work.
Well, and I think I love that right there. It's like we're honoring exactly where you are, where your belief systems are, what you're open to. Like there's a beauty in when a woman comes in, or if you're in a co-gendered retreat, whoever you are, if you're coming in and you're getting validated in this is where I'm at in my process. This is who I am. This is my belief systems. These are my values. You're not trying to convince them into something else. You're just
Hmm.
guiding them into, is this who, like recognizing, like, is this actually who you are? Are these your values? Or is this what you picked up culturally, religiously, institutionally? And is that something that you
Yes.
want? Right?
Yes,
And
right
so
there.
it's clarifying. Like the whole process, you should feel leaving lighter, more clear, more curious about possibilities, right?
About your possibilities,
Yeah.
yeah. And where did your beliefs come from? Whatever belief you're talking about, where did it come from? Is it something you went and you learned and you picked up, or is it something that, yes, is a tradition that was put on you? It's interesting because, like, for me, I can be a very traditional wife. When my husband comes home, I feed him, I care for him in certain ways. I pack his bags before he leaves, for the week for work and all that stuff. But then during the week, it's different. Now, am I always like, where did that come from? Right? I watched my mom do it. It's something that was put on me traditionally and culturally, but it's actually something I enjoy. And it's because I want him to feel loved. I want him to know that I appreciate him when he's home and everything. Like I want to take care of him in certain ways. But I also recognize that it's something I witnessed because we took care, the women in my family, us girls, and my mom took care of my dad that way. And now my dad's not here to do that for, but when he was, I loved it. He'd come to my house, he'd be like, "Hey, I heard you're having a pool table game, like party, because I have a pool table." And he'd show up with his friends knowing it was a space he could come to and it was an instant party just in his name. And he was fun and he enjoyed that. And I would cook for him and do all that. But it's very traditional. And would I take that part away? I don't think I would, even though it is more traditional for a more modern woman. But I am very much that as well. It's just I feel the balance of finding it within yourself.
Right, right. And I think it goes to like you can see it where it came from, and you're making the
Yep.
choice today to live the life that you choose to live,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
I like being taken care of too in a very traditional way. I mean, we all like that. And I think there's important things to say of going back to some tradition and bringing that into your home life, your ceremonies, all of it. And I think that's like women, we have felt this disconnect for so long because it really is. It's like, who am I and where did this come from? And it's amazing because it's not like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. It's like 40, 50, 60-year-old women that are trying to learn who they are today, and they're in their older years going, I can't believe I left, this many. But you know what they're doing? They're picking themselves up right then
Mhm.
and they're going to go and live their life right now. Like go and do you. And it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
It's
And
powerful.
and the diversity that you can have. Like I feel like the retreat that I just offered because it was in Austin and it wasn't my community. I didn't know exactly what I was walking into. And there was some initial like months before fear of like, these aren't my people. Like, I don't know if like, like I'm very used to like I have my people from my community come and join and to have a huge variety of not only age but marriage styles, like open relationship, queer, um, uh, religious backgrounds. Like we had a lot of variety in this group, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And to really be able to hear and witness everyone's struggles being in that diversity. Like I think we
Yeah.
definitely had people who were probably in the early 30s, maybe late 20s, all the way up into their 50s. And I think I'm used to working with women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? Like I
Mhm.
would say that would be my normal, right? I'm always got people at least 10 years older than me. And I would say the people that were really gravitated towards me, right? And to also witness that we're all women and that we're all doing this work and we're all have this commonality of the struggle, not the same challenges in a way of going
Yeah.
right. And so there was a lot of a lot of conversation on that. And I thought that it enhanced the group to have the diversity in it.
No, I think that's great because it is because you have the elders, the wisdom of the elders in the group that can speak to the 20-year-olds, the early 30-year-olds. And it's important because the 20-year-olds, they're only trying to heal 20 years versus 60,
I know,
right?
right?
And that's a big thing.
And I'm like, that's what I'm used to. I'm just like, give me the people who have held on to stuff for a really long time, right? Like I'm there and ready for the deep dive of peeling layers and layers and layers back. And you work with these younger ones, and oftentimes they just don't have it. They're ready to live life now. They're showing up for retreat and community in their early years. And it's like they're already making these choices. They're already making these decisions to say yes to themselves, yes to prioritize their self-care, yes to their spiritual growth. And I'm like, that's phenomenal. We didn't all have that privilege and opportunity to do so.
Yeah, right. No, it's beautiful. And I know that, you and I are talking about, we've had retreats in the past together, and I know we have some that we're talking about that's coming up in the spring, and one of them is going to be here in my area that I'm looking forward to. But we're also talking about doing Austin again. So
Mhm.
you want to kind of talk about some of our plans that are coming up?
They're very much still in the works, but I think Chantel and I would love to be offering something in the Hemet, California area in October. Like we'd love to do a shamanic Reiki retreat in her area. And then this Austin location was phenomenal. I loved it. And it has the grounds are perfect. They have a huge temple space to do your ceremonies in. There's cabins, there's bunk houses, there's an Airbnb house, there's a place to pull up your camper trailer. They just have the amenities. And right now, it's like I went down to kind of scope things out. That was kind of one of the reasons, like, okay, I'm going to scope out the space. I'm going to scope out like what the possibilities are. And right now, my partner and one of his colleagues, and I'll be joining them as an assistant, we're doing an intro to sacred tantra retreat MLK Day weekend in January. And then Chantel and I are looking at the calendar for possibilities to do a shamanic Reiki retreat there as well next spring. So things are definitely in the works. I don't have all the details yet, but they're definitely playing out in a very positive way. So I would
Yeah.
say keep your eye out, keep like put your save the dates in. I think if October will probably be mid-October. We know MLK weekend is the weekend that we'll do for the Tantra retreat. I'm really looking forward to that one in the fact that I really trust the facilitators are going to have a lot of integration time, and I'm going to be kind of I'm foreseeing myself as like the integration facilitator, like seeing myself like taking
Nice.
care of people, like the guardian of the heart, where people are mixing up their emotions and things are coming up, and I get to be there to hold space for them in the in-betweens. And so,
And that's a very important role.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, that's
energetically
good stuff.
clearing the space and like working on
Yeah.
it,
All of
right?
that.
All of that. So that's going to be a really sweet one. And one of the ideas of getting down there was like, okay, what does the space need? Can we make this a regular thing? Because it
And
really
the airport and all that,
so
that was
close.
close enough.
It
Yes,
was
all of
30
it.
minutes away, like I
Yeah.
Ubered it, and so I think there's pieces I have spent a few years now trying to find a location that's close to an airport that's got all the amenities I'm looking for, that we can bring in a caterer and have space for them to cook, like all of these things. And I'm like, okay, I think this is it. So oh, it's good. It's good. And I'm always open to hearing from our community of their favorite retreat spaces. Where do they want to be? If they've got tips of where these are located, hit me up. If you want to bring us to your location, you're listening from the East Coast and you want Chantel and I to go put on a retreat in North Carolina, cool. Like I'm down. So,
Yeah, me too. Let's do
right?
it for sure.
I think that's
Yeah.
it. It's like you get to a point where it's like I could literally in an hour do 20 different workshops and it's not
Yes.
hard, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
these are things that we have done so many times, whether online or in person, that we receive the call and we can like easily go, what does your community need? You want to focus on energy and energy cords, you want to focus on chakras, you want to focus on the elements, you want to focus on fill in the blank, inner child work. Like we could definitely call like put together an itinerary, a proposal, and be like, this is
Yeah.
what your community needs. So we
I
are
mean, we've
definitely
gone
looking.
from like doing sweat lodges to, yeah, sitting around the fire to letting in our inner goddess come out. Like we've done the work. We've done the work, and we bring it. We totally do. And it's just such a wonderful experience. And I have not had or done a retreat between us or even in myself where you feel there's a lack. It's like, no, you feel so abundant.
Yes.
And I just, yes. And so it is. It's reaching out more to the community. And so if there are people that do want to call us and be like, hey, let's do this, let's put this together. Yes, we can get an agenda. We can put out an outline. We can say this is what we have to offer. And it is. Give us your intention and we will work with that.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure.
Exactly. So here's to more retreats. Love that.
Yes, yes. And I
Absolutely.
am looking forward to you coming and doing one here, even though those will be more of a day retreat, because the location is at my place of business and there won't be like sleepovers, but there's local, hotels and all that for those who are traveling in. A beautiful casino here that I would recommend, but doing some day retreats of just, workshops and bringing in food and being able to like just lounge in a nice, beautiful space.
Exactly. Exactly. So give us your intentions, your ideas, your locations. We love that. And until next time, uh, have a beautiful week. Let those whispers of wisdom keep cultivating within you and let us know how we can support. Thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week.